The State of the Union is in good shape, but it could be in a lot better shape. And the American people continue, even in the midst of disappointing news and enormous disparity that exists between those that have and those that do not. And it is, as the President said last night, not that there's any concern. My dad, as I said, worked 3 jobs. But I'll be darned if he didn't wish he was Boone Pickens. And no one ever resents the fact that somebody's wealthy, has been successful, has done what this great country of ours provides everyone the opportunity to go as far as your hard work and diligence, imagination and effort can take you. We still live in a country that provides that. But government, at the end of the day, has a responsibility to make sure that it brings balance to the equation, that provides justice and equality, and most importantly, opportunity. I'm heartened by the fact that we have finally gotten a budget in Washington, D.C., and have lifted the pressure of the sequester. I'm heartened by the fact that there were some appropriation bills that were taken up where there has previously been obstruction and gridlock and failure to take up any initiatives. So I'm hopeful. I have sponsored more than 11 bills where I'm the lead sponsor with a fellow Republican, and more than 70 bills that I've signed on to with Republicans. So the issue is not trying to work together. There's widespread effort, I would say, on both sides of the aisle. But there still remains an obstructionist few who wag the tail of the Congress. I hope that can be overcome in this session. I hope they heed the remarks of the President. But I was proud to hear him say that I'm anxious to work with you. I'm anxious to collaborate. But if you're going to just obstruct, then I will act if you won't. And I think the American people needed to hear that. I think Congress heard it. And I hope that it will respond in a way that moves the nation forward. As the President said, you can't get everything you want. But what we should all want is to move the nation forward. As he said, the rest of the world no longer views China as the #1 place where they should invest. It's America. Let's capitalize on that. Let's put the country back to work. Let's invest in our infrastructure. And by that I mean investing in our people. We know what drives commerce, and if commerce is to succeed, it has to succeed by going over roadways and airways and airports and railways and deep harbors, and schools where communities are struggling. Need to make sure that there's broadband available and that technology enters into that, and a workforce is retrained to meet the demands of the 21st century. And as he ended his speech by saying, and it's all within our reach. And indeed, it is. I'll close with this, because there is a lot that's been said about this and a lot of concern that exists throughout the district, and I want to make sure that we're addressing these issues as well. The Affordable Care Act that the President talked about last evening as well, and has been a concern of a number of people. Let me commend first Lieutenant Governor Wyman and Governor Malloy for, I think, the great job that they're doing in the rollout of Access Connecticut. Our office is available and has worked directly with the governor's office to help enlist and enroll and sign up people. And where there are problems and people have concerns, we're working with them to work those problems through, because that's what we should do. Now, a brief history. The Affordable Care Act. What if I were to tell you that the Affordable Care Act was an idea conceived by the Heritage Foundation, very conservative think tank in Washington, D.C., and that it was successfully sponsored by a Republican governor with a Democratic-controlled assembly in Massachusetts, and the governor was Mitt Romney. That is what the Affordable Care Act is modeled after. Now, let me be clear. A number of Democrats felt very strongly that what we should have is single payer, or what some would say, Medicare for all. But that was not in the compromise or in the bill as it came forward. And so we have a bill that for the first time, as the president said last night, 3 million kids 26 and under are on their parents' policies. 9 million people have signed up for the Affordable Care Act already, and more are going to come on the bill. No longer can you be discriminated against, especially if you're a female. No longer can you be denied coverage, and no longer can you go bankrupt over a health care issue. Now, there are those of you in this room who know this, but in 1965, when Medicare was first adopted, 90% of all elderly had no insurance coverage whatsoever. Think about that. Today, it's just reversed and almost universal because of Medicare and Medicaid and our service to our elderly. Why? Well, because it was needed. It was needed as a logical follow-on to Social Security. And then Medicaid followed Medicare. And then the Affordable Care Act followed Medicare to make sure that we were further reaching out. The reason we needed it? 44 million people, fellow Americans and neighbors, no insurance. And at any time given the cycle, it could be as many as 80 million Americans because of layoffs without any insurance, who could be denied insurance, could be denied claims, or go bankrupt. More housing foreclosures were, in fact, and more foreclosure housings took place because of health care concerns and the inability to pay the bill. So there's no denying that there was a need. Was it a perfect solution? Not by any stretch. It was thoughtful. It went through a process, and it's going to work. But wouldn't it be working a lot better that instead of, as the president said, trying to repeal it 49 times, that you were sitting down and working together and saying, here's an anomaly, here's how we have to fix this for small businessmen,